Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Bass Fishing for Noobs here on the Paddle and Fin podcast. I am your host, Sean.
And I'm Susie Q.
Hey, Susie Q, how's it going?
Oh man, it's been a pretty productive last couple of days. I've taken a little bit of a break from fishing. Gasp. And been doing some landscaping, and yard work and whatnot, getting prepped for 4th of July and whatnot. So yeah, I got a little sunburn.
I was gonna say, it almost looks like you spend a lot of time on the water,
It does, yeah. But it was a little bit of the opposite last couple of days. So definitely gonna have some water time here, hopefully coming up this coming weekend. So yeah. Other than that, though, yeah.
Cool. And I've seen the pictures of her work, and it's very nice. So I gotta give props to her and the family for that. That looks like you've done a great job there. So.
Mm-hmm. That's right. But actually, before we jump in with our guest here, we do have some exciting news here. Let me find my suspense is building.
We're getting a good jump on next year. Well,
we are. Yep. Why isn't it letting me load it? Hold on here. Come on now. Sorry, having some technical difficulties last minute here.
No worries.
Trying to get the image to pull up here. We'll just build the suspense.
The people are just on the edge of their seat. I can tell.
Oh my gosh, what is it? Whatever shall it be? Oh, okay, here we go. Da 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 da. Booyah!
Hey, yeah, there you go.
We have got the date set for Dale Hollow, Tennessee next year. Folks, put it down in your calendars. Saturday, April 27th and Sunday, April 28th. Hosted by the one, the only Eastport Marina. You know it, folks. This is the event to be at next year. Put it on your calendars right now. This is going to be awesome. We probably had the biggest payouts for big bass on both day 1 and day 2. It was what, over $2,000, right? It was what?
Yep, total
2,100 or something like that.
Yep.
It was crazy.
For two fish.
Crazy. Yeah. Just for big fish. Just for big bass. On day 1 and day 2. That was over $4,000 total for each day. And we're going to try to surpass that for next year.
I was going to say, every year we tend to grow. So
that's right.
That's any indication, then this year should be even crazier. So
that's right. Yeah. So mark your calendars, clear out your schedule, save up your money, or, we might try to have some pretty awesome, awesome things in the works. Heck, we did some things last year where, we had like a free entry drawing or something like that. I mean, anything goes when it comes to this event. This event is our baby. It's the biggest, awesomest thing ever. I mean, we had Christine Fisher at it. We had Tim Isaacs at it this year.
Yep.
Who knows who might show up to it this next year. So get these dates down. April 27th, April 28th. Mark your calendars right now.
All right.
That is all.
Very good. So we're getting a jump start on it, but yeah, guys, it'll be here before you know it. So, just make sure you put it on your calendar and get prepared, because it's going to be, if we thought this year was crazy, next year is going to be even bigger. So
that's right. You can sign up right now on TourneyX.
All right. Well, speaking of some other people who are having crazy good years, a few weeks ago, Susie's good friend Erin Mathis decided to join us, and we had a fun time interviewing her. And she had mentioned about a young man that is part of her kayak trail who's actually been crushing it. And uh, we had another person kind of reach out to us and say, "Hey, you should probably have this young man on the podcast because he is having a heck of a year." So um, I reached out to the young man's father because I didn't want to just be that weird guy that reached out to and said, "Hey, you guys want to come on the show?" And they were gracious enough to accept our invitation. So, welcome to the Noobs show, Rich and Wyatt Connelly. So, how's it going, guys?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing okay. We're hanging in there. I wanted to, for any of the folks who maybe didn't listen to Erin's show with us or might not be familiar, if you guys want to introduce yourselves, so just let the folks know who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, I'm Wyatt Connelly. We're from Utah, Spanish Fork. Yeah, I just love bass fishing. Yeah. And I'm Rich Connelly.
And how'd you, Rich? How'd you get started in bass fishing, and then how'd you introduce Wyatt to it?
I've been pretty much fishing my whole life. Kind of got into bass fishing. I bought just kind of a cheaper kayak. And I seen kayak fishing in Utah online. I told my brother, I'm like, hey, this looks like something would be fun. And we just started doing it. And man, like the obsession grew like immediately. It's like, this is the funnest time you can have.
Awesome. Awesome. And then did you pretty much introduce Wyatt to it pretty much right off the bat? Wyatt, do you have pretty early memories of fishing?
Yeah, I've been fishing ever since I could walk. I've got my cabin. We have trout in the little pond up there, so I just fish until about I turned 12 or 13. And then my dad started putting me in the junior league once they made it. I think I was in the first tournament. I just loved it ever since.
Gotcha. And then from what Erin was telling us is that you made a kind of a deal with your dad that you wanted to fish in the kind of the regular league instead of the junior league. And what was that deal?
So the first tournament I fished was Sand Hollow. And he said if I ended up in the top 10, he'd keep entering me into these adult tournaments. And so I think I placed 8th or 9th. So I kept doing that. And then I went to Manaway and didn't do as well. And then I went down to Jordan Ellis last tournament and took first.
That's awesome. First place against adults. That's crazy. And I can see that big check in the background. Your dad mentioned that was your check. So yeah, that's got to be cool. So what was that like? Did you feel like a lot of pressure that first tournament to try and get in the top 10, or were you kind of just laid back about it? Like, if I make it, I make it.
I really wanted to fish adults because I was doing really well in the juniors. So it was like middle. We got into a really good bite. So I was like, I got this. And I was in the top 10. So I was like, I got this. And I just kept fishing until it was about time.
Gotcha. And how long have you been fishing, like just in kayak tournaments in general?
I'd probably say, I think it was 3 years.
Okay.
3 or 4 years.
Gotcha. And what kayaks are you guys fishing out of now?
We both have Old Town PLD 120s.
Okay. Gotcha. And I know, Rich, you said you kind of graduated up from that, right?
Yeah, I started in a Lifetime Stealth.
Okay.
And then my brother bought the Old Town pedal, and I'm like, I got to do something better than this. This rolling's for the birds. So I bought one, and then
I had a little green Lifetime kayak, and it was like a 10-foot kayak. And then I got his kayak, and then they started pedaling and kept leaving me behind. So my dad saw one on sale, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go get this, and we got it, and it just totally brought my fishing to a different level.
Yeah, no, once I switched to a pedal kayak, I felt like I cover so much more water.
Yeah. Last tournament, I believe on Jordanelle, we covered over 6 miles. So
wow,
for a pedal kayak, that's quite a ways, you know.
Heck yeah. And I know that's why I'm almost afraid to go try a Hobie 360 because I know the second I try that, I'm gonna have to, buy it. So a buddy of mine has one. He's like, "Hey, you want to come try it?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." I want to stay married, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm pedaling a Hobie Outback now, and I love that. It's just everything I needed to do. So,
Yeah.
but well, very cool. And so, um, Wyatt, how did your dad kind of teach you, or did you kind of learn on your own, or what was your learning progress or process like?
So when I was really young, we just get power bait and cast it out to catch trout. And then once I started bass fishing, my uncle and my dad were just the best teachers. They just like I used to fish it really like we just fish slower like lures. We don't fish power most of the time. And they just told me like move it slow and you'll get them. So we just started moving it slower. And then I like when I first went out, I couldn't catch one to save my life. And then as I just kept fishing, I just got way better.
And now you have a lot of confidence in it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you said you prefer like slower moving stuff, or are you actually kind of graduating at all to power stuff or power techniques?
I just like fishing like slower because I feel like it's a little bit more chill and kind of I don't know. That's just what I like for techniques.
No, and I feel you there. I'm very similar. I'll throw a crankbait now and then and moving stuff, but I definitely feel a lot more comfortable slower. I don't know about Susie. She's probably a good mix, right?
Totally the opposite. I like to kind of be on the move. I hate slow fishing. But I think it's kind of like, different because of, kind of the setup as far as, the lakes and stuff that, you guys have out there compared to like what we have out there, the big reservoirs that you have out there. And as far as the different access to the different types of water you guys have out there. I don't know how far you guys might have to travel to get to different variety of waters and whatnot. So that might also be part of, the way that you guys might have had to learn as well.
Yeah, it really just depends on what's around you. Because if you're in shallow water, usually we'll throw like a spinnerbait or something like that. Mm-hmm. And if you're in really deep water, we throw like a jig.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of our lakes are mostly smallmouth. There's a few that have both. There's a few that just have largemouth, but most of them are smallmouth lakes up here.
Interesting.
With the exception of a few.
Okay. And would you say they're pressured, or like is there a lot of water, or is it pretty pressured because there's not a lot of water?
I would say they're pretty pressured. I mean, you really got to fish it methodically, and watch for them drop-offs and spots that guys would miss, offshore stuff.
Okay. And do you guys run electronics on your kayaks to find that kind of stuff, or you just go by what you know?
I run electronics.
Okay.
I run the you'd ask me this. Yeah, the Helix 7.
Okay.
And he just runs a cheap, I think Garmin Striker 4. But we're usually we're pretty close to each other, so we bounce our information off back and forth. And I'll tell him not to fish a certain spot, and he'll go there and knock the crap out of me. I'm not going to second guess him anymore. Just do your thing.
Yep. Pretty soon you'll be following him around.
Yeah, that's the way it is now.
Yeah. Very cool. So, would you say that I guess that does make sense then if you are fishing pretty heavy pressured waters, then if you do, I could see where going slow and slowing down and picking up really picking apart places where other people might just kind of burn through with power techniques might be productive. So
yeah,
interesting. And you mentioned that when did you guys get involved with Erin's trail?
For me, it was, I believe, 4 years ago. And I think Wyatt was 3-4 years ago. He was pretty soon after we started them. They started the junior league, and I thought, this is a fun thing for kids to do. Get them off the video games, not watching TV, get out, move around, and have fun and get some clean air.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And, how many other kids were in it that with you, Wyatt?
When I first started, it was like 4 or 5. And now the most we've had so far is about 20, I think.
That's pretty good.
For some reason, during COVID, we had quite a few more kids. And then once COVID got over, the numbers are kind of dwindling a little bit. But I don't know.
But
we'd
then,
like to get some more juniors.
yeah, I was going to say, but then he jumped up to the regular tournaments, and I'm sure that from what Aaron was telling us, that's pretty well attended as well, right?
Yeah, the adults have always been. There's always been quite a few adults. I think not maybe as huge as like your guys' tournaments. We have, like a big one would be,
70.
yeah, in the 70s.
Well, for my local trail, that's pretty big.
That's pretty big. Yeah. I mean, for
Yeah.
Illinois, our permits only allow us to have a max of 50. So,
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a really good turnout for
Yeah.
a tournament. So I'm actually pretty envious.
Our club is so awesome. It's all family related, like Aaron's probably told you guys, we all kind of camp together.
Yes.
And it's a good weekend voyage and get away from work.
Absolutely. Aaron, some of Aaron's stories were, it really, made me jealous that, not that my trail isn't cool, but that definitely sounds like a really tight-knit group and a very cool thing. So
yeah, I think that's something that we get that maybe the boat tournament guys don't get. I mean, they go, they usually will take hotel rooms or Airbnbs, so they're not all together, but we like to camp out. That's just part of it,
Absolutely.
I heard maybe the downside though is to get to like some of the different lakes, it could be quite a haul.
Yeah, they're not too bad. I mean, like our furthest one is probably Sand Hollow, and it's about 3.5 hours from where we live, maybe 4.5 from where Erin lives.
Gotcha.
It's not horrible, but
yeah, it's doable. Yeah, that's and then Wyatt, the tournament that you won, how many people fished in that?
I think it was 55 or 45.
Yeah,
still though,
that 45.
Yeah.
And for you to come out on top, that had to feel pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was a pretty good feeling. My uncle Jason was telling me like, hey, he was just messing with me because he knew that I was on the top because Erin told him that, like, she called him because she was like, hey, you both of them are in the money. One's in good money, one's in the money. And so he was like, okay, one of them is in really good money. And I knew I was in second because I shut off the standings 2 hours before.
Right.
And he told me that one of my fish got docked. I was like, oh, shoot. And so after they got at first, second, I was like, I'm really not on the money. And they called first. I was like, oh, my gosh, I really did make first. I was really excited.
And then how close was it? Was it pretty tight? Pretty tight margin?
So I think what happened is he was a couple inches ahead, but he didn't have his fish touching the top of his board. So he got his inches deducted, but I had the bigger fish, so we were tied. So I got first for that.
Nice. Tiebreaker with big fish. Nice. Do you guys have like lunker in those tournaments too, or?
Like big bass?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we do.
Cool.
Yeah, and he had big bass all day until I would say maybe an hour and a half before the tournament was over. So I thought he was going to win that too, but.
Well, still, it's still an impressive accomplishment. So congrats on that, man. And so how many more tournaments do you have left in your trail?
I believe 3.
Okay.
But then we do a kiddie pull tournament. It's a charity pull tournament where you got to fish with a little Zebco kiddie tournament.
I love it.
It's kind of challenging. And then they do like a major league bass, but those aren't like official. It doesn't go toward your AOY points. It's just for fun and little pop money.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, I was just going to mention AOY with taking first place in a tournament and top 10 and at least one other one. You got to be kind of eyeing that a little bit too.
He was in 4th before the last tournament, so I'd imagine he jumped up because a couple of the guys that were ahead of him didn't fish it. So
wow,
I don't know if he's second, first. He's somewhere in that area, maybe 3rd. I don't know.
Nice. Now, is it like so many events out of so many? Is it like the best 3 out of 5 or something?
Yeah. They'll drop your 2 worst tournaments.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So,
yeah.
So we got to perform on the next ones. The pressure's on.
Right? Yeah. Oh, man. I know that feeling with AOY. There was a couple years where, I was kind of up there with AOY, but man, depending on how the championships are built, man, sometimes those can like make or break you. I had one where like day one championship that stuck a fork in me and I was done. Like I caught 3 fish and I was just like, yep, nope, there goes my AOY.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, but I mean, hey, you know, that's fishing sometimes, you know, it just sometimes you're on them and sometimes you're not, you know, but yeah, that's so awesome, you know, hear how you've just, you know, you've triumphed, you know. I mean, sometimes you've had some really good days, you know, other days, you know, even though you were, you know, maybe 8th place, 9th place, hey, you've stuck with it in so far. What besides, you know, kind of fishing slow and whatnot, what have been your like your confidence baits and techniques that have kind of been your go-tos for most of your tournaments?
Probably Ned rigs and Texas rigs and jigs.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
I
And
hate that rig.
I'm gonna convert her to the Ned rig.
I know. But see, like with my area, like we have nothing but like weeds and mud and stuff like that. So it's just like it's
Not Ned rig friendly.
No, yeah, very not Ned.
And a lot of ours are rocks, so.
Right. Yeah.
And
so it's just like it wouldn't even make sense to fish the Ned rig.
Yeah.
You know, but like come to like an area like yours, I'm sure it would probably be like, you know, yeah, that it would just be, yeah, of course. So
Yep. And that's it. Their area is similar to mine. Like the Susquehanna is very rocky, and so that's why I'm a Ned rig lover, because it is smallmouth crack. But they definitely seem to love it. And you mentioned jigs. Now, jigs is one thing that I have never. I still struggle with, and I don't know why. People have said it's, you know, it's kind of somewhat similar to a Ned rig and how you work it. You know, as long as you're working it slow, but for some reason, I just don't have confidence in that at all. So I might have to get some pointers from you.
Yeah, I've never had very good confidence in jigs until this year.
Okay.
And
what?
this year, the first tournament he killed on jigs. That's what he caught most of his fish on.
Gotcha. And something just clicked, or it just happened to be a good jig bite that day?
It was picking up bigger than average fish. For some reason, we just, on them jigs that we use, picks up bigger than your average. And you know as well as I do, you have a couple of good kickers, that's pretty much all you need.
Absolutely.
Above your average.
Yep. And the waters that you fish, you know, you mentioned that they're rocky. Is it mostly reservoirs, or is there any moving water like rivers at all?
Jordanelle there was.
We're doing Cutler this next tournament, and it's got about a 1 mile an hour current.
Okay.
Through the whole lake, so it's pretty much a big river channel. It's maybe 100 yards, 200 yards wide.
Okay. And would you say, I mean, is that kind of what you're used to, or is that's more of an outlier, and so it'll take a little bit of learning and practice to kind of figure out that moving water?
We went and pre-fished before the tournament and pretty much have it figured out. It's a little different than what we're used to, but I think we got it figured out.
Cool. Well,
it's a little different. You got to kind of work it different than you would normally, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I coming from an area, I obviously have the Susquehanna in my backyard, and that fish is completely different than the lakes around me. So I started, when I started fishing, I fished only the lakes because I was kind of intimidated by the river, intimidated about like just a safety factor, you know, because I do fish alone a lot. And but as soon as I went out there and started catching fish, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going back to the lake, because I know right where they're supposed to be, and they're actually there for once, you know. So I was super pumped when I started fishing the river, and you know, now I only go to the lakes when the river's blown out and I can't really fish it. So
but most of our water is pretty much still water. You know, there's not much current going through them.
And what's the depths like? Are you guys, you mentioned finding stuff offshore, when you have to, or but you also said about shallow. Is there a good mix, or is it a lot of
It's a good mix. Most of the lakes that we have here are fairly deep, meaning I don't know. I'm like Jordanelle. We were finding them in
30 to 10 feet of water.
yeah, and somewhere in that range. And the lake's a lot deeper than that. It's over 100 feet deep.
oh wow.
But there's a fair amount of good gradual slope. Then it will drop off to a shelf, and that's where we were finding them. Where we'd find a little drop off, we'd just pull down off of those, and as soon as they'd fall off, you'd get hit.
Right. That sounds like a very popular tactic. Anytime you can find a steep, where it goes from a kind of like a shelf, like you're saying, to a steep drop off, and they usually hang around that edge and just wait for stuff to fall off. So
the first tournament of the year was down to Sand Hollow, and we had a pretty good bag, both of us, and we found a spot an hour before the tournament was over, and it is basically a big ravine out in the middle of it was probably 100 yards from the shoreline, but it went from 14 to 30 feet, and it was maybe 50 yards wide. And every cast we pulled off of that, we had one on. We probably caught 20 fish, 30 fish in less than an hour.
wow.
We had one of the guys in the club was watching us. He's like, "What in the heck are you guys using?" I said, "The same exact thing you were using, but we found a spot that they were just sitting there."
Very cool.
Just waiting to ambush,
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And when you can find those spots and really just go through the fish like that, just looking to cull, that's got to be a cool feeling.
Yeah, I think we both got 2 cull fish in the last hour there.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
And Rich, when you kind of made that deal with Wyatt, what was your expectation? Were you confident that he would pull it off, or?
Not really. I told him, I said, you got to be in the top 10, man. If you're not, you're going to go back to the junior league. And he's a competitive kid at heart. He plays sports, wrestles, and plays football, and he just wants the good competition. He was just beating those kids by a landslide, and he really does deserve to be in the adults. I mean, he fishes hard. He doesn't screw around when he's out fishing. It's all game.
And obviously the results speak for themselves. So
yeah, he's kicking my butt. So I mean, I think I taught him too well.
There you go. Well, I wanted to also just talk a little bit about Wyatt, what your plans are. Past. I know obviously you're probably shooting for AOY this year, and just what any plans to continue on with this, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm trying to win AOA right now, and then like in the future, I would like to go fish like pros.
Yeah,
go fish in the United States.
Very cool. Is there many pro tours around you guys? Like I know, luckily, over here on the East Coast, we do get quite a bit of stops, but I know some do venture their way somewhere out there. What's the closest pro places to you, like pro tour stops?
I think California.
Okay.
I think they got the West Coast Championship over there, which he's qualified for. I don't know if we'll be able to make it or not, but
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Erin's even offered. I mean, she's such an awesome lady. She's offered to take him out and go fish out there. So I don't know what we'll do for sure.
Well, it's safe to say that the future is bright anyway. So looking forward to seeing how he does. And, I was going to say, just hearing, it almost feels like we should have done this episode on Father's Day or something, because your story is very cool. And Susie, did you have anything else?
I was gonna say, I don't know if do you plan to stay like in the kayak world, or are you gonna venture? I don't know if you have I'm pretty jealous of this too. But like my high school now has like a bass fishing team, whatnot. I don't know if your school has anything like that. If you're looking to get involved with any of those things, and like, you know, I know there's college fishing teams now. Like, I don't know how far ahead you're looking into any of those types of things.
Oh, he's thought all that over. Our town next to us has a fishing team for the high school, and he's been trying to convince us to go to that high school for that reason.
Nice.
So,
well, and you, Susie mentioned, you know, boat teams, but I've actually even heard of some high schools and colleges having kayak teams now too. So
Nice.
definitely
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, don't have to live in the with all the glitter boats. You can actually have your little plastic boat too.
Right. Well, heck, he could even start his own.
There you go.
You know, I mean, why not?
And just from what Erin was telling us, you know, and the popularity of, you know, kind of the trail that you guys are on, that I almost think that there's enough probably support for that. You could probably, you know, make that happen. You know, it sounds like, you know, the popularity is growing, and, you know, the more the merrier, you know, anything that helps grow the sport. So I think you guys are kind of on the right side of the trend there. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they got a high school team for kayaks.
Well, Rich, maybe you could like coach that, you know.
For sure.
You did a good enough job with Wyatt. So
then I'll train all them guys, and they'll kick my butt even worse. I'll never be in the money.
Yeah.
Well, you'll just charge to be their teacher then.
Or you can make a deal with them. Hey, during tournament season, you know, you guys have to stay focused on the high school tour. You know, you can't fish any of those other ones.
Yeah. That's the
I'm
way
gonna
to go.
start charging commission now.
Yeah.
So, well, very cool, guys. Wyatt, I don't know what your social media presence is like. I know obviously with, you know, as anglers grow and get bigger, that's something that they work on. Do you have something in the works with that, or, you know, anything that you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, I have Instagram and Facebook. It's Wild Ginger 243.
Okay.
Yeah,
247, wasn't it?
either 247 or 243.
247.
I'll double check it before I put it in the show notes, but is that okay if I put that in there
Yeah.
so folks can find you?
Yeah.
Cool. And are you looking at any sponsors or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got one sponsor right now from Empire Rods.
Empire. Okay.
Nice.
Very cool. That's nice. And I'm sure as you keep putting more checks on your wall back there, that those opportunities will probably grow for you as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Cool. And anything else? Any other people that you just want to shout out that have helped you guys along the way or anything like that?
Yeah, my uncle Jason. I think he was on here a while ago.
Okay. What's his last name?
Connelly.
Oh, okay.
Connelly,
Jason
okay.
Connelly. Okay.
Yeah, he was fishing for the Angler of the Year last year.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. And well, that's great, guys. And I just wanted to thank you guys for coming on. And Wyatt, obviously, good luck in the future. Same to you, Rich.
Thank you.
You obviously have a little bit of a competitor right in front of you, but it's very cool that you guys compete together, and I love that dynamic. Do you guys, when you go out fun fishing, is it still competitive between just the two of you?
Yeah, we do our little own tournaments.
A lot of times we do. Hey, we're gonna run a mock tournament here. Let's see who gets the most inches.
Yeah, well, that's probably good experience, you know, because then, you know, it still gets you that experience of, you know, wanting to find fish and, get your limit, you know, and then start culling. It's good experience, and obviously it's working because, both of you guys are doing pretty good. So
Yeah, it's definitely great practice.
gotcha. So Wyatt, do you have any other tips for or anything that you'd like to say to other, you know, kind of kids who are looking at you and being like, wow, look at what he's doing, you know, and, you know.
Yeah, just try to get out every weekend and practice a lot. Practice makes perfection. So, and really, honestly, YouTube is like really, really helpful because you can watch those videos and get tips from everybody else too.
What are some of your favorite YouTubers that you guys watch?
can't remember their name. It's
Rick Blanchard, Christine Fisher, some of the Bass Tactics.
Gotcha.
Just
Like-
a good mix. We just flip through there. Something looks good, we watch them, and try to pick up new techniques and new things to use.
There's definitely a ton of information out there. So
There is.
and that's everybody's trying to kind of fill that void. And I don't know, Rich, who taught you to fish, Rich?
My dad.
Your dad? And
Yeah, pretty much grew up with a fishing pole in my hand, just like Wyatt, from when I could walk.
Gotcha. And as you were learning, obviously you didn't probably have YouTube as much. Well, maybe you did. I'm 46, and I guess I was going to say
I'm older than you.
So, where did you pick it up? Just from him, or just from trying it?
My dad never did bass fish a lot. It was just something I just started doing, and trial and error. Watch the old bass fishing shows on Saturday morning they'd put on TV and go from there.
Gotcha. Well, it's kind of, we're kind of spoiled now in today's information age where, you can pretty much find any technique you want online and kind of get the ins and outs of it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Wyatt, is there any technique that you're looking to learn maybe in the future, that you would like to get better at?
Yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more power fishing because it's a little hard for me. Most of the power fishing I do is if I'm traveling, just throw on swim bait behind me.
Gotcha.
Come to the Midwest.
He tends to fish power fishing a little bit more when we're not doing tournaments. Then he always reverts back to finesse fishing because he's more comfortable with it and he knows he can catch a good amount of fish,
Mm-hmm.
Well, very cool. Well,
I did have a question for both of you guys. What is your personal best?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'd probably say mine is probably 7 pounds.
7 pounds. All right.
My best is 21 inches. I don't know what it weighed because I don't carry a scale with me for largemouth.
Yeah, I was just out fishing Quail Lake, and it was just after San Hollow, and we were fishing them on their beds, and I threw bluegill at it, and I probably fished that fish for probably an hour.
Wow.
And I finally got it to where it got it in far enough to where I could get the hook in there good. So, and I'm just guessing. I don't know the exact weight, but I'd probably say around 7 pounds, 6 pounds.
He did catch about a 38-inch muskie up to Pine View 2 years ago during a tournament.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Got a
Very
few
cool.
of those. Got a few of those too.
Yeah, when I saw that thing, I was fishing for crappie, and I shot a little crappie lure, like an inch long, and I was like, holy crap. So I cast it out there, and I was swimming it, and it like chased it, and it was chasing really hard and got to the top of my boat, and I cast it back out, and it just slammed it.
Wow. Did you have a net that you could catch it in, or did you just?
Yeah, I had
Couldn't put it in the net.
I had to get it to where it was completely folded so I could get it in the net.
I figured. I was going to say, I don't know that I'd be prepared to handle a fish that size. So
Yeah, trying to figure out on my little green kayak was a real big pain.
well,
It was
I'm,
quite a rodeo.
I bet. I can imagine. Well, especially with a little guy, that was probably a heck of a sleigh ride.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. That is awesome. So your PBs are both largemouth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Well, what's your smalley size get to out there? Is it they pretty good size too, or like?
I think the biggest they'll get around here is 20 inches at most. 21
Okay.
inches at most.
He did catch one.
19 and a quarter.
Yeah, 19 and a quarter.
Okay.
Like I think it was about his very first junior league tournament. So he
I beat most of the adults on that one too.
yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah. No, 19 and a quarter is nothing to sneeze at. That's
that's good fish.
Yep. I think I've seen charts and stuff, and that's probably a 7 to 10-year-old fish. So it takes a while for them to get that big.
Yeah.
Especially in those colder lakes too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else you guys want to throw out there, or anything you want to mention?
No, not really. I think we got it covered.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks so much for coming on. I wish you both the best, and would love to hear from you guys how you're doing, and maybe we'll check back in with you and see how you finish out the year. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. And if you would mind, we're gonna after we roll the credits, just hang out for a sec because I need to get a little bit more information from you, and then we'll let you go. But
Okay.
cool. Susie, anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's about it. We'll be following you guys, and yeah, we'll see how everything turns out, and see if you can nail that AOI at the end of the year. We're cheering for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. If you're interested in checking Wyatt out, make sure you check out the show notes. I'll have links to his social media down there, and cheer him on if you like. And again, this has been the Bass Fishing for Noobs podcast here on the Paddle and Fin Network, where we bring you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. You guys have a good night.